Sometimes it's bad when the going gets tough. Yeah, we look in the mirror and we want to give up. Sometimes we don't even think we'll try. Sometimes we cry.
Very keen to get your views on this because this morning is a broadcast interview exclusive. Footballer Ched Evans was convicted of rape in April 2012, sentenced to 5 years in prison. He maintained his innocence throughout it. And after serving 2.5 years inside, he was released on licence. Fresh evidence emerged. The case was heard by the Court of Appeal, and after a retrial, Ched Evans was found not guilty. He's back in football and back with his beloved Sheffield United. Now, for the first time, 29-year-old Ched Evans has spoken about the experience which changed his life. He maintains his innocence, of course, as he did whilst he was in prison. And he talks about living with the abuse he still receives, even although it's now a matter of public record. He was wrongly convicted. Now, on the footballing front, he's been injured, but now he's back. And of course, there were always going to be comparisons between the player he was before his ordeal and the player he is now. So where does Ched stand on that?
I think I'm a better player now. Like I said, the injuries this season haven't helped at all. But like I say, mentally, physically, I'm in a better shape than I was then. And I just want to kick on now. And like I say, with Sheffield United, I want to repay Sheffield United Football Club, the fans, which have been absolutely amazing with me. And I can't thank them enough.
Do you have flashbacks, Ched, about the time in court when the verdict was delivered and you were sent to prison?
Yeah, so, like I said, that's stuff that you can never really forget, but you keep at the back of your mind. It's always going to be there. But like I said, the right verdict come out in the end, and for me now, first and foremost, is football. And getting back on the pitch and performing well.
Do you ever think of those 2.5 years? I'm sure you do. How did you get through it?
Just one day at a time, really. It was very difficult. More so difficult coming out. Obviously, the pressure on me and my family and friends and stuff. It wasn't particularly nice. But like I said, we just got through each day at a time. And eventually we got there 4.5 years down the line.
Because all of a sudden, from having been inside, you were suddenly a free man, and it was Ched, right, on you go, out you go, almost pushed out, get on with your life.
Yeah, obviously when they got the not guilty verdict, I'd been living with anxiety for 4.5 years, thinking where's my life going to go now, what's going to happen with the uncertainty of my future. Not just football, my personal life, and then obviously getting the verdict, and then it was like, right, just be normal, get back on with your life now. Like,
exactly.
You've got what you deserved, and I found that really mentally tough. Just that transition of one day you was a convicted rapist, and then the next day everyone's just kind of forgot about it, and you just have to get back on with your life.
But are you constantly reminded of what happened? And I mean, when you play, do you hear it in the crowd? Away games?
Obviously at away games, away fans particularly. Not at all stadiums do I get abuse, but it's probably say 70% of stadiums there'll be fans shouting stuff. And
what do they shout?
Obviously the favourite ones, you rapist, this, that. And personally, it doesn't affect me whatsoever. But like I say, you go anywhere else in the country or whatever, and you've got somebody screaming and shouting them sort of horrible words. It's not really normal. But after 5 years of absolute abuse and scrutiny, I'm back where I belong, and that's playing football. So people screaming and shouting at me is nothing compared to me playing football.
They wouldn't do it anywhere else. I mean, if you're sitting in the theatre on a Friday night, somebody 2 rows back is not going to shout what you're getting at a football match.
No, it's quite unbelievable, to be honest. And like I said to you, I've been at football games and I've heard people shouting stuff, and you kind of it's a surreal moment, because there's nowhere else publicly you would go and shout such vile, horrible comments to somebody and potentially think it was either funny or even acceptable. But like I said, football brings out emotions in people which you can understand.
Living your life now, Ched, as you do, an innocent man, as I stress, do you still have feelings of bitterness in you about what happened?
Not really, no. I didn't believe anger or bitterness was going to help me in any way, so it was kind of just getting on with it and being happy for what you've got. And like I said, football is a very short career, and I've got the rest of my life to live after football, and to live with anger and bitterness would be absolutely worthless.
It's great to hear that positivity. So on the footballing front, it would be a dream to go up with Sheffield United, would it not? Make the playoffs and go up.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate prize for me and the club and the lads at Sheffield United and all the staff. Like, if you look at the team we've got and you look at the ambition and how well we've done this season, it's still not an unachievable goal. We're just off the playoffs. So we'd like to say I think we've got 8 games left, and it'd be a dream to get promoted with Sheffield United into the Premiership.
When I speak to anyone about Ched Evans, the footballer, a lot of people say to me, I tell you what, this guy can play. Now you can. So now you're back, and now you have great ambition still within the game, don't you? You have great self-belief. Is it your belief that you could play for a top club in the Premier League yet? And is it your hope that you win more Welsh caps under Ryan Giggs?
Yeah, I'd love to be selected for the Welsh squad again, and love to play in the Premier League. When you're talking about ambition, like you say, when you spend so long out the game doing what you love doing, you do take for granted everyday training and games you've missed. But for me, the ultimate goal would, like to say, get back to scoring ways, get a good pre-season in me, and hit the ground running pre-season. And I'm especially confident in my ability as a footballer to score goals and as a striker.
When you look back on it now, some of the headlines at the time, they must have been very difficult to take then. I mean, you were given an extremely harsh time of it by many members of the media. When you look back at it now, how do you feel about it?
Obviously, looking back to when I first come out, some of the headlines were absolutely vile, which was really upsetting, because you know people like your mum, your nana, like all your family and friends are driving past the petrol station, the news agents, social media, and my face is on the front of the paper with an absolute vile headline. To then just one day being acquitted by 3 High Court judges, to then running a retrial, to then getting a not guilty, to then absolutely nothing, quiet, like radio silence. It was really good for me in a way, because that's all I ever wanted. But in a way, it was like, why aren't you putting this on the front page now? Why aren't you making a song and dance about this? But like I say, after a while it wears off, and like I say, for me personally, I want to be on the back pages. That's
of course
the goal.
And the thing at that time as well, Ched, was you knew what you did and you knew what you didn't do, and you knew that you hadn't committed rape. Yeah,
definitely. And like you say, maintaining your innocence throughout the whole thing, the whole scenario, was as in prison. If you maintain your innocence, basically you're living the worst life. You get treated the worst. So for the 2.5 years, I maintained my total innocence, and then when I got out, I carried on, and people Why don't you just say sorry? A lot of media reports covered if he just said sorry, then he could get back on with football. And obviously apologising for something you didn't do would be a sign of guilt, which is not me. I'm not guilty. So just for me personally, I just think getting back on with your life, staying out of the papers, and like I say, being on the back pages is what I want to do and where to be.
Do you feel a bit of relief today, speaking to me about it at last?
Yeah, obviously I've not spoke to anyone about this previously, and it is nice to be speaking as an innocent man, under no pressure whatsoever, really, compared to the pressure I've been under. Like I say, it's definitely something that I needed to do.
That was Ched Evans speaking to me in an hotel just beside Bramall Lane yesterday. Very relaxed, very open chat. Now, we want your reaction to it. Alex, thanks very much indeed for that contribution. Alex Dibble, my talkSPORT colleague, giving us his view on some of the legalities involved, of course, and there are many regarding the Ched Evans situation. Lots of calls on this, Simon. Lots of calls on it, Bob. We're going to take some because we said we would, and we're going to stick with it. Mike, you're an Everton fan. Good morning to you. What do you want to say, Mike?
Yeah, well, basically, I'm a criminal solicitor, and I listen to what Alex has to say. I've represented people who've actually been convicted of rape. And they've come out, they've done their time, and they've gone back to work. The bricklayer, plumber, that type of thing. Nobody's coming out and saying at the time, well, I'm sorry, we've got to stop those people working. They've served their time. The worst thing with Ched Evans was the outrage at the time, after he was released, especially by Jessica Ennis. And don't forget the petition of thousands of people saying he was a disgrace. He's now found not guilty. It's an absolute disgrace that those people haven't turned around now and said, well, come on. Sorry about that. We think he should be left alone and get on with his job.
Well, Matt, this is the point that Simon Jordan's been making vociferously here, which is the weight of opinion against him in the media was such that surely it behooves the media now to say, OK, we made a mistake on that one. And as virulent as we were against you, we should now be offering you some support.
Or more importantly, to give Ched Evans a platform to be able to represent himself in the best light that he can through the media, which is why the interview that you did yesterday, Jim, is the right interview to do. Other people will say it's an insensitive timing because there's stuff going on in Ireland with rape cases over there. The world moves on. In this instance, I think it's the right platform, and I think that you did well, mate.
Thank you very much. Go on, Mike.
Go on, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the fact is, I agree with you entirely. Put it in the papers. Let's have it high profile. I think your interview was great with him yesterday. Put it high profile and say, enough's enough. Let the man get on with his work.
Mike, thanks so much for your call. I want to take Helen's view on this. Helen, you've been waiting very patiently. I think you're a Chelsea fan. Helen, good morning to you.
Yeah, I am, but don't hold that against me.
Oh, don't worry about that. They're all right.
Not something I brag about. Bear with me a second. Dog walker, and I'm trying to get dogs back in the van. Here you go. Random, I know. Right. No, all it was.
Helen, you're welcome. What do you want to say?
It's the same thing. It's Jessica Ennis' name constantly being brought up. She was advised. Now, she could have not listened to that advice, but she did. And maybe now in hindsight, she probably could say, look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have taken that advice, I was ill-advised, etc., etc. But as much abuse as he gets, and I'm not condoning that at all, because as you've already pointed out, he was found not guilty as such. The abuse that she gets every single time she posts anything on Twitter, anything at all, nothing to do with him, anything. It's disgusting. It just, I don't know. I just find it.
And you think this is from supporters of Ched Evans? Oh, okay.
Yes, because sorry, I didn't explain. Every time she posts something, are you going to apologise to Ched Evans? What about this? What about that? Even on the tweets that you posted this morning, Jim.
Yes.
The comments that, well, you're going to get Jessica Ennis on. She needs to apologise. And the abuse. Yes, he gets called a rapist, and that's disgusting. That is really disgusting. And I'm not saying for 1 second that that's right. But it's not right. You know,
Helen, I hear what you're saying. This unfortunately, this is a reflection of the times we live in.
Well, social media.
I knew this morning. I mean, it's totally irresponsible of people, I think, in the terraces at football to shout rapist when Evans gets the ball these days. He's on the ball. He's trying to ply his trade back, playing football again. And I get it as well. I cannot stand the fact that Jessica Ennis takes abuse as well. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. And even this morning, Helen, as you rightly say, and I told Ched I would do this yesterday, to promote the fact that you're being good enough to give us this interview for talkSPORT. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and we'll promote it on Twitter. Ched Evans will speak to Jim White on talkSPORT, and then I get it in the neck, Helen. But it's just a reflection, as I say, a sign of the times, and this is what happens, Helen, on social media. And unfortunately, we're just got to live with it, haven't we?
It's disgusting, because I'll be honest, it really does wind me up. You wouldn't walk down the street and say that to someone today.
Exactly.
Helen, put aside the nonsense and drivel from people on Twitter and the trolls that just want to be abusive, and take a pragmatic, critical observation of Jessica Ennis's positioning. She took a moral judgment, and allowed her name to be associated with something that was a campaign against somebody that she did not know was guilty of something but had been led by. Do you not feel, in a reasonable world, no one should be abusing Jessica Ennis, but she should be accountable for the position that she's taken, and if she's strong enough to make that judgment in the first instance, she should be strong enough to say, possibly, it was wrong for me to have indexed my name to this?
Yes, I do. I genuinely do. And that, like I say, so I do agree that maybe in hindsight, and now, you could just come out and say, look, okay, I shouldn't have taken that advice. I was ill-advised. I shouldn't have done it.
And then that would kill the trolls on Twitter, because they'd have nothing further to say, would they?
You'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to sit down and think it right through. If we're only human, what more can we do? The only thing to do is eat humble pie. Sometimes we cry.